DIY Shane here. My dishwasher broke, and last time we put dishes in it, after 1.5 hour buzzing and humming, I noticed that all the dishes were hot and dry, but it wasn't washed. The dispenser was open, the soap was dispensed, but dishes weren't washed. So when I checked, I noticed that the draining pump was working. The heating element was working. The only thing that wasn't working, or was working but not properly, was this wash pump. So basically this pump, what it does is pumps the water and sprays the dishes. And I noticed that it was humming. So what I did was I took it apart and I checked it. The circuit seemed to be okay with the ohmmeter. So it's 120 AC. I plugged it in. It's not a DC motor, it's AC. And it actually would run. The problem was that the impeller shaft, which is this one here, which would go in there like that, was stripped. So it wouldn't, basically the motor was turning and this guy was not turning. So what I'm going to do, because you can't really find this motor unless you get an old one on eBay and you don't know how long that's going to last you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up. It's a bit cracked here too. If you can see the crack, and also it's kind of inside is all stripped. I'm going to clean this shaft here, and I'm going to clean inside, get all the grease out, and maybe sand it as much as I can, clean there, and see if I can epoxy that and put it back together. These are the pieces of the pump. So I'm going to put it back together. I think you guys seen there's another guy who replaces this pump here, and he gets it on eBay. So I'm not going to bother show how to put it back together. But I'm going to show you the results, if I can clean this here, and hopefully I can sand it and epoxy it and see if that's going to work. So this is the Frigidaire Gallery Professional series. This unit is probably a good 20 years old. If you have similar units of Frigidaire Gallery, it's a very common problem with this pump breaking. So if you see that your dishes are not being washed, this is the most likely problem. There's another thing that normally breaks on this one, which I did it on this one, was that the switch, there's a switch in here. There are two micro switches here that they break. So I replaced those ones. That lasted 2 years until I have this problem. So hopefully I can fix it. DIY Shane here. So I glued the plastic shaft to the metal. I really cleaned it up and sanded both sides on the inside of this plastic piece and the shaft. So I had to sand it and clean it, make sure the ridges are really nice and clean. I used the epoxy to glue it together. I waited 24 hours to make sure it's hardened, and I'm going to put it back together. So basically, just in case if you're curious how this goes back together, this is the order that it goes back together. The blade goes here, and the propeller is in the front, and that's the little screw. So I'll put it back together, and I'm going to try to power that. I assembled it together. I used some silicone for these seals, and it was in it, and it was inside. The only thing I'm worried about is it is going to power up. The only thing I'm worried about is the leak, and hopefully it won't leak when I put it and test it with water. But anyways, I'm just gonna show you how I power it up. So I use this cable that I had. It's a 110 volt cable. I just put it together there, and I'm gonna see if I can film and plug it in quickly and just unplug it in. Okay, so it powers up. Next step, let's see if it leaks. I know it's gonna pump, but I'm worried about those seals inside. We'll see. So I assembled back with torque screws and a torque screwdriver here. Sorry, I can't focus this, but these are the screws, so you need the right screwdriver for that. And I'm just going to test, just run it. I just use my cable. I'm not using the ground for now, so don't do this at home. Anyways, I'm just going to, it's running. So next step is I'm going to put it vertically and put it back vertically and put some water in there, and I'm just going to use this setup to run it instead of trying to bypass the switch or run the whole cycle or put it into the test mode. It's just to see if there's a leak. Hopefully there isn't, and if there isn't a leak, then thumbs up. I pour some water here. I didn't assemble everything there. I just want to see if this propeller is going to spray the water. So I'm just going to close the lid and run it, and we'll know if it's spraying water or not. I don't see a leak in the back, so no leak so far. I don't see any leak there on the floor. So let's try it out and see. I'm just going to close this, and I'm going to ask. All right, so I'm going to plug it in now and see if it's going to work. I can hear the water, so sounds good so far. And let's see if, oh yeah, it's spraying. It's working okay. I just have to check for leaks again. So I just have to assemble everything back in here and run a cycle, and hopefully it, so far so good. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to leave the door slightly open and show you when it's spraying the water how this propeller works. So anyway, which hopefully won't get sprayed, but here we go. So the final step, I assembled everything together. I plugged in the water here and the power. You have to put the power box cover back on later. Just testing now. Just gonna start it, one final step, and test. So just close it and we press start. So now the pump starting to drain first. We're gonna drain, and wait. Now it's water is coming in. The valve open. I can hear the water coming in. So now it's starting to wash. I could hear the water splashing around, and that's what. This is the what that wasn't working. The pump motor wasn't splashing the water around because the shaft was stripped, the plastic shaft from the motor shaft of the propeller. I'm just gonna open, which is gonna stop it, and we can see the water is dripping down. Yep, it's working nicely. So my final thoughts about this repair process is that the most important thing that I thought was important is if you're taking this apart, make sure that you are taking a video or taking pictures, because you want to know the orientation of every part, the orientation of the motor, the seals and everything. And I actually had to go back to my pictures. I did take pictures as I was taking it apart, and I had to go back in and check the orientation of some of the seals, especially the two seals that going on the shaft of the propeller. That was very critical. Also the orientation of the wash motor, where the connector goes in. I had to actually go back and check that, and I had to go and move the seal around. And then there were like you could see that I could see actually I had put the seal backward on the motor, so the motor orientation wasn't right. But anyways, overall it's a success, and I'm just gonna put together the cover box and make sure the water inlet is nicely tight, and this is a success. Let's see how long it will last, but I think it should be okay for a while. Please like and subscribe, and if you have any comments to improve my videos, please let me know. Thank you very much.